My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Don't you bleed? There ain't no stop for me. Chateau Timberlake, as long as I can see. Gallo or Muscatel, either one would be just swell. I didn't come here to fight, hey, just as long as it ain't white. Red, red wine, red, red wine. Welcome to the Red Wine. It is the day after the election, and we still do not have a president. Of course, our president came out and said he won, and Biden came out and said he won. So it's kind of a mess. So Diane was going to join me tonight, but she has a headache, so she is off. So it's going to be Lou and I, and we are going to discuss tonight how absolutely crazy this entire election has been. They have failed at every turn when it comes to guessing the senators, the polling, where President Trump was up or behind in the polls. I mean, this election, they had Biden up 17 in Wisconsin. They had him up in crazy numbers in Georgia, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, and clearly this shows now they do not know jack shit. They honestly do not know how to poll, how to do this job. And so, if you guys go to the Red Wine on Twitter, you guys can see I actually retweeted Frank Luntz who, I don't know if you guys realize, said on air that if he got it wrong, that's it. He would never do this again. He would get out of the polling business. I don't think he's going to do that. But he did say he apologized to the Trump pollsters who had it right. And I actually think they all owe a major apology to the Trafalgar group, who seemed to get it right. And they honestly, all of them, Frank Sabato, all of the major ones tried to make it sound like the Trafalgar group was somehow a GOP group, and that's why they were positive for the GOP. So they were wrong. They were wrong.
They got some really underhanded criticism about their polls.
Oh, yeah. It's 17 points. When we see now in Wisconsin, I don't believe the 20,000. I think it's more like a 8,000 vote difference between who the winner is in Wisconsin, kind of like in Nevada right now. It's 8,000. I think when they do the recount, they're going to, it is going to dramatically narrow. I think Biden will probably still pull it out, but he's certainly not up 17 points.
The polls were just ridiculous. The polls were ridiculous. And, when Fox News called Arizona, which they've gotten a lot of flack for, to the point that for among other reasons that I want Arizona to go to Trump, is the fact that they called
Amen.
It's called it so early. So
yes.
Early. And then tried to act like, they were being questioned by people that just want Trump to win, and nobody else was questioning them. Well, ABC still hasn't called Arizona, not once.
Well, and the governor, Doug Ducey, came out immediately and said, "What the? Hey, we haven't even counted our in-person votes from today. Those are only the mail-in ballots,
right?
And the early voting results.
They hadn't even started on the in-person counts. So it was. They felt like the numbers. They were like, well, it's math. Well, some people are doing the math differently. So
way differently.
Right.
Even the Secretary of State. I think you sent me that audio clip today of her talking where she says, we have a lot of outstanding votes in red counties. Biden only had a 100,000 lead. And by the way, they're calling it for Biden in Arizona with that 100,000 lead, but they're not calling it for Trump in North Carolina with a 100,000 lead, right? Like, it makes no sense. But, it doesn't make any sense, especially with, they said there was like 650,000 ballots still out in Arizona. That could easily go either way.
Well, I will say this. This is what I believe, that the media is not going to, nobody is going to call it to 270. I think Fox has gotten as close as anybody's going to get prior to certification, or at least prior to like Friday, Saturday, maybe next week. Because I don't think, at this point, I don't know who would. I wouldn't call, if I was running a media agency, which obviously I'm not, but if I was, I would put the kibosh on the whole thing and say, don't anybody call another friggin' thing.
Right.
Don't. Because they're just messing with people now. Right?
Oh, definitely.
And Antifa's already proved they're going to riot no matter what, because I think they're rioting in Texas because Trump went to Texas. And I know they are in Atlanta. So.
Oh, yeah. I am sure it's going to be crazy. And isn't that telling? They go to the red state, I wonder who Antifa sides with. But I thought it was just an idea, not another Democrat arm. But so it's fascinating too. This is what I discovered last night. I could not watch Fox News last night. it wasn't just that Chris Wallace gets on my nerves. I mean, honestly, that man, he has such a never Trump attitude that I honestly could see him purposely miscalling shit just to piss off Trump. Mm-hmm. But I kind of felt like, I didn't like how they did it. I didn't like their setup. I really had fun watching on Newsmax because they have Sean Spicer. He is a funny guy.
Right. Yeah, he is funny.
Yeah, it was fun watching him last night. I enjoyed that. And, I mean, I guess I felt like I got more out of that, flipping between that and just YouTube. Where did you watch it on last night?
I had the TV on Fox, but I was mostly paying attention to what was going on the ABC online. Honestly, I think they did probably a better job than anyone of not calling things too early, other than Virginia, and then they pulled it back, and then eventually.
Right. And I still would love to see the absentee ballots in Virginia. I mean, I almost think you could go through every state with an audit and probably find fraud.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I get like the right doesn't want you to do that because they don't want you to take away their states. The left doesn't want you to do that because they don't want you to take away their states. But honestly, it really should be something we look into as a nation.
Voter fraud?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's something that we shouldn't have to even ask about. Right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think I'm cutting out. I'm just saying that if Trump, I think what happens sometimes is that whoever wins, they just want, okay, I won. I don't want to say anything because I don't want something to happen where they actually start looking at how I won. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, and it's ludicrous. It's It's Banana Republic type shit.
So. Oh yeah. Oh God, it's completely Banana Republic shit. So okay, so let's get into that. So talk about Banana Republic. So let's start with North Carolina. North Carolina is about 100,000 votes. I don't know the exact number. Maybe somebody in the chat room or maybe you know, Lou, the exact number. But North Carolina, the senator has gone to Tillis, who is the Republican senator. And every vote is in except for they sent out ballots for people that requested ballots, and ballots have not returned yet. But and I don't really understand I don't get how that works. They're saying that as long as it's postmarked, like it got into the mailbox by.
So North Carolina did a thing like Wisconsin, was it Wisconsin? No, like Pennsylvania did.
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah, I think there may be a Midwestern state that did it. But there are some other states, I think, that did this, but without the legislature's approval, which, it's the legislatures are supposed to determine these sorts of things. They determined, I think it was through the state board of elections, that they could count ballots up to 9 days after Election Day if they were postmarked by Election Day. Now, when I was very young, I did an absentee ballot because I was out of town at college and I wanted to vote. And I had to have it postmarked before Election Day for it to be counted. This was in Georgia, which, I mean, what's wrong with asking you to vote a couple days early or put your vote in the mail a couple of days early? And I think it was 7. I really think it was like 7 days, but it was many years ago, so I don't remember. But certainly they shouldn't be postmarked on Election Day and counted 9 days later. That's ridiculous. And it was part of... Now, North Carolina, even though they often vote for Republican presidents, senators, in a lot of places, members of the House, but their statewide offices, many of them are Democrats. The Secretary of State is a Democrat. The Lieutenant Governor was a Democrat. Now it's a Republican.
I saw that. Great.
The Attorney General is a Democrat. So they have a lot of, they felt like they could do this. The Republicans sued them, of course. And it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, we're not, they said about everything, every single case that was before them on stuff like this, they said the lower court ruling is going to stand for now. Segregate your ballots because you never know, you're going to be back here and we're going to rule on it, but we're not going to rule on it now.
Right.
And they said that about everything, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, but the lower court ruling in North Carolina was that they could do that. They were allowed to do that at the state administrative level, even though it's the job of the legislature, according to the Constitution anyway. And they did the same in PA. The lower court in PA had said, oh yeah, you can do it, not a problem. Went to the Supreme Court. They said, we're not going to rule on it. So those two states get to count their ballots unless the Supreme Court rules otherwise.
Right. So we'll do Pennsylvania next, but right now North Carolina. So they said Trump is at 77. He must have lost some votes today, and Tillis is at 97. So for some reason he's 20,000 up on Trump, but the outstanding ballots are 117,000. But they're still not going to call it for Trump. For some reason, they think, I guess, Biden is going to get all 117,000 of them.
He'd have to get most of them. Well, and I think that's probably, 70% of them would have to go to him for him to...
Right.
For him to count. No, probably 80. 80 or 85 of those 117 would have to go to Biden for him to catch. But they also have to do their audits where, and the provisional ballots and military ballots. And that's one thing that people are forgetting is one of the big chunks of ballots that haven't been counted yet. They haven't been known to really swing an election. I think that they might have made some impact in Florida in Bush v. Gore, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to, to make it clear enough that all the lawsuits went away. But seems like they did make some impact on that. At any rate, those haven't been counted yet. So those are going to go, 60 or 70% to Trump.
Right.
Not 80%.
I think that this state, I think that's why the Trump campaign is saying they have this state. They feel confident they won North Carolina.
Right. And to your point, it doesn't make any sense to me to not call it because those are outstanding absentee ballots. Those aren't uncounted mail-in ballots.
Right.
It's not a ballot that you received. But, I would not, if I was in the media, I would not be looking to push anybody over the 270. But since this is going to Trump, they could say, we should call this for Trump. There's no way that he's going to make up this. And Georgia, I'm starting.
Well, they called Michigan for Biden, and isn't it a 30? Was it a 30,000? Did it get higher? Is it a 50,000 now gap?
It's kind of fluctuated between, I think 50 and 70 or 50 and 80 or something like that. But the thing with that is that there's all sorts of shenanigans that we're going to get to a little bit later going on in Milwaukee and Detroit. So
yeah.
I would not be.
Yeah, I wouldn't have called either of those states. I think it was foolish to call those states because there are shenanigans. There's shenanigans in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and I think everybody's hearing about it. There's videos. There's there's nonstop anecdotal evidence. It could all be just nonsense, but it's enough out there that Wisconsin's doing a recount. And how can you say somebody won a state when they're going to a recount? I don't understand how the press on some maps even has North Carolina light blue.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody
so
posted a map. I'm in another group. It's just more of a funny group. There are some people in that group that are left-leaning. There's even two never Trumpers. So we don't talk about politics too much. It's just more, silly stuff. But they posted a map saying, well, why is Trump even bothering? And I'm like, wait a minute. Why is North Carolina blue? Like, what the hell? Like, where, in what universe would that be leaning blue? So I didn't get that. I don't get it. I can see putting Wisconsin and Michigan leaning blue. I cannot see putting North Carolina that.
Well, I can't see like holding up an election on 117,000 ballots that may or may not come back at all.
Right.
And wanting to count,
it's the dumbest thing ever.
Wanting to count those for 9 days. I mean, that request in and of itself, right? That determination in and of itself seems really odd. Like, why?
It
why
seems like
9?
They didn't win. They didn't get who they wanted to win, and so.
But it just doesn't. It just seems really odd and specific. Why would you say we want to hold these for 9 days? I think maybe we.
I agree.
Okay, I thought I lost you for a second.
I'm sorry. Everybody knows my internet out here in the middle of nowhere in Colorado is the worst internet in the world, and that is the only thing that liberals might get me to vote for them on is this, putting internet in everybody's home all across the world.
Then we all get to have internet just like yours. No, thank you.
Yeah, I know. Well, that is the downside.
You know how things work with them with stuff like that. It's not going to make your internet better. It's going to make my internet worse.
Yeah, this is funny. In the chat room, they're saying if 117,000 votes are outstanding, Biden will get 130,000 of them.
That really appears to be true, which is one of the things that we were going to talk about. And in Milwaukee, apparently, quite a few districts got quite a bit more votes than they had registered voters.
Yes, let's talk about that. Okay, so we're moving on now to Wisconsin, which was leaning Trump when everybody went to bed last night. Suddenly, they stopped the counting, and what do you know? Lo and behold, in the middle of the night, there's this huge dump, and the dump is like all Biden. It's like, it didn't even make sense. Like, statistically, how could that many votes go to Biden? Now, I just had a liberal on Facebook. I wasn't arguing with them. They were arguing with a friend of mine that said, no, that's not true. That turned out to be a fake story. So I haven't seen that it was a fake story. Have you seen that was a fake story?
No, I saw that the Sharpie thing was a fake story, but I can explain that one later. But no, I never saw that was a fake story.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, okay, so Lou has the numbers in front of her, so we're going to talk about Milwaukee.
Right, so Milwaukee, many precincts that got 110 to 220% of their registered voters to vote somehow.
Amazing how that always goes one way.
Right. Exactly. And some of these precincts I have the vote breakdown, but they were, Oh, no, it doesn't have the vote breakdown. So, yeah, well over 100% of their registered voters.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they would have had to have had a major same-day voter registration.
Which you can do in, I believe, Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin is on that map, right? So
yes.
So you can do it in both of those places, but you know, I think that's like odd, right? So in Michigan was very similar with such a high percentage of voters, but even when they didn't have over 100% or 200% of the voters that showed up, it was consistently in the like 80 to 85% percent turnout, and the city as a whole was 83. I have
so those particular places that are left leaning had way more than anybody else.
Yeah, 83.67 across the city as a whole. I mean, 82, 85. This is not consistent with their history at all. They'd have to have increased their turnout 15 to 20% over the last 5 elections, right? And it didn't. It fell off in 2016. It did, or it didn't. Right. So it just makes no sense whatsoever. Like the highest second term voting they had was 70. Well,
yeah, and seriously, do we think Obama got fewer than Biden? I mean, when it comes to being excited to go to the polls.
Yeah, I wonder what he's thinking right now.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what they're all thinking.
Right.
Wait a minute. Joe Biden sat in the basement the whole time. He didn't even go out. And hell, you know, he got better than I did. Yeah, I think there's shenanigans. And it will be. So I heard Scott Walker today. And so he was, so in the chat room, they're saying 60 to 70% is the norm in Wisconsin. Right. So yeah, yes. They did way better than normal. But what's interesting is Scott Walker said that it's within the margin of error. So the Trump campaign, of course, said no, we want a recount, and he said that they sit down, they do a canvassing. The way they set it up, they have 2 pollsters look at each thing. He said that, of course, Biden is going to end up losing votes during this because he said, I think they found out that like some ballots, was it? Did you send me that link about 300 people in Wisconsin that they already tried to like contact because there was something wrong with the ballot? They couldn't find anybody.
Do what now?
Had you seen that article that it said in Wisconsin? At least 300 people they had tried to contact. That they couldn't get a hold of anybody that was not the right contact when they tried to address a ballot that had come in.
Wow, no.
Like to figure out so
I'm shocked.
So they already know there's irregularities. They already know some things, there are some things that aren't right. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that it's going to swing at 20,000 votes, but it will be interesting to see when it's all said and done what it does swing at.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think okay, so let's just do the math on this. Let's say, I'll pick a lower number. Let's say this is probably the average of what they were, over 70%. If with Milwaukee, with 460,000 votes cast, was 15% off or 12% off. I have a spreadsheet open, so I'm doing math because that's how I do math.
Sure.
That's 55,000 votes.
Oh, so it could swing it. Yeah.
Right. If there's...
So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a lot of... To say that there's 12% fraud in pretty much every precinct in Milwaukee is kind of a grand statement.
Right.
You know, even if it's on average, it's kind of but it's Milwaukee.
Well, and again, that state shouldn't be called yet because that is an issue and they are going to recount. They're even bringing in the National Guard to make sure everything goes smoothly. So again, why are mainstream media outlets calling this when, I mean, honestly, how do we know what's going to happen with that recount?
We don't really. But I would think that if there was this level of fraud in Milwaukee, I would hope that they'd find it.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. I do too. Okay, so we're going to have a break. And when we come back, we still have Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Lou's home of Georgia.
Yay.
Okay, so we'll be right back.
Get up, get your man above the red wine. Get up, get your man above the red wine. I can't get up out of bed.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
I said, get up, get your man above the red wine. No, get up, get your man above the red wine. Oh, get up, get your man above the red wine.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to go through the rest of our states. We're going to talk about Michigan first. Before I go on, I just want to say how incredibly irritated I was when Biden came out this afternoon and declared that he'd won these states and he was the winner. I don't know about you, but I just wanted to, I don't know, like, send him back to bed. I mean, the guy is, he's so annoying to me. He's so irritating to me.
Yeah, he is, like, extremely irritating. If he does end up winning, I almost hope, and I curse me for saying this, but I almost, no, because she's just as annoying. Never mind. I'm not even going to say that.
Oh, they're both. I know. Her voice. Good God. Can you imagine years of her voice?
Yeah. No, I can't. I mean, but no. So I'm going to say what I was just about to say. And our listeners will hear this probably going in, or they already know this because they noticed it too. I haven't really heard somebody say it in this way, but this is what the Democrats' game is. This is what they're going off of, and I think it's telling as to their overall strategy. They've taken the position from pretty much the beginning that they do not have to allow poll watchers to watch the count of absentee or mail-in ballots. And I know a lot of people know about this. I don't know if Orty's in the chat room, but my understanding and what I know about poll watchers and, state law, I look through the list of state laws, especially the important ones, but they're not required to be in the polls, but every single political party has them in the polls and in the counting to watch that shit happen. And there's good reason for it, because the last time I know of this happening where poll watchers were shut out of a count was in North Carolina, where a poll supervisor who was a Democrat was actually changing votes and swayed some local elections. She actually changed the friggin' result. She was prosecuted. Oh my God. She was prosecuted for it, but she did it.
Well, good.
Yeah, but she did it. And I mean, how do you undo an election at that point? I don't remember what happened with the elections. I think they might have actually removed somebody and his opponent took his place, if I remember correctly.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's awful. So Orty he says president, and he said, I spoke with one for a while yesterday. I'm assuming he means a poll watcher.
Yes.
So, I just saw okay, so before we go into that, and we're going to talk about Michigan, we actually have the audio from the lawyer that was a poll watcher that the RNC sends lawyers all over the place. And she actually had been watching things all day long yesterday in Michigan. She had been in the suburbs where she said it was really busy turnout. And then downtown in Michigan, in Detroit, she said it was very low, like hardly any lines. And so they had felt very confident. Like they had told the RNC, oh yeah, we've got this. It looks good. And they were told all to go home because they were going to quit counting. So, of course, we all know what happened then. And Orty did say they're not supposed to interfere in any way. They can ask questions and observe, but that's it. And of course, that makes sense.
Right. If they want to be there, if they're assigned there, and it's different in every state, but if they're assigned there by a party, or if they want to be there, depending on what state you're in, the counters, the state has to allow them to observe. It's different in different states. Some states have observers, some have watchers attached, some have people that can challenge. Because some states do have... I did see that. In order to challenge, you have to be a registered voter in that state. Mm-hmm. And this was Michigan, right?
Yeah, in Michigan,
So some of them have challengers, and that's why they had such the blow up in Detroit with the observers, and things were going crazy, probably because they were challenging a lot of stuff. That's just a guess, but I think it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And she's going to get into that too. But what had happened was they told them to go home, and she said, well, I'm just going to go check it out and see if they really went home or if they're counting, if they're there counting. Well, on social media, there was a lot of local news that were saying, well, I'm told they're still counting. They tell me that they're still counting. Same exact thing happened in Atlanta. So she shows up, they're still counting, and she sees them bringing in big boxes of mail-in ballots after midnight. It's like 3 a.m.
Yeah. Back up a white minivan, start to unload into a Red Ryder wagon, and loading him in. And he's alone too, like they talked about. Steven Crowder says to her, "Well, was there somebody there, like a cop? You know, you'd think ballots are serious stuff, right?"
Yep.
All by himself in the dead of the night.
All by himself, no security. He walked right in. That was a lot of what was going on. There's no security checking people in. They were bringing in packages and coolers and wagons of ballots, and nobody was checking to see what they had, see if it was valid or checking ID or anything. But as you probably saw on social media today, they were covering up windows so that people couldn't watch what they were doing and counting in quote unquote secret like they did in Atlanta. So I think we've set this up. You want to start playing it? This is an interview with the lawyer that got the video that was observing this cluster, and she's talking to Steven Crowder. Not sure exactly where we are in.
We're following protocols, and there's some kind of, process that's being, compliant.
I thought that was the purpose to doing it. I've never been to a polling station where it wasn't all glass.
I mean, I've seen more of the inside of a McDonald's than I've seen of that polling place once they put those boards up.
And then you scalded your crotch with coffee.
It was great.
Well, so it's really funny because I started, as soon as I got back this morning, I tried to start kind of discussing with different people the concerns I had and the things I had witnessed overnight. Mm-hmm. And so it got around in just this little group, in this little area. So I'm pretty sure it was probably discussed over there, and that's probably their response was, somebody's in there recording, and so let's, lock them out.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we have a lot of people watching right now. So let me ask you this. What do you think, and I know you have to be careful legally, what do you think happened? What do you think was going on? If you have to guess what happened at that was it Devil's Hour 3:33? Is that where something happens all the time? I don't know. I saw it in a horror movie, but 4:30. Yeah. What do you think happened? We saw people bringing in wagons and coolers unchecked and then putting up boards to cover up the glass. Do we just think they're saying, hey, we want to keep this secure, we don't want anyone to get shot through the glass? Is it just there were so many votes, they were overburdened? So what do you think happened there in Detroit?
Well, I generally don't think you try to hide something if you're being transparent and honest.
Right.
I mean, that's generally, that's kind of how we see things, right?
Yeah.
If you're upfront and giving, doing the right thing, then you're happy to have people observe and see that you're doing what you're supposed to do by the people in your community, right?
Right.
So, I mean, the only thing that would lead me to believe is that they are doing something
that is inherently dishonest, and it would seem to coincide with something that was almost nonsensical as far as the number jump. What kind of a challenge, I guess, can there be to this practice? As you're a lawyer and my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, is here. What do we do? How do we fight this?
I'm not jumping in on that because I am not a Michigan attorney, and I'm just going to sit back and see where the administration wants to go, or where the RNC wants to go, or where the GOP here in Michigan wants to go.
Yeah.
And what I would say is there's obviously there's probably a million different ways. We saw from the Supreme Court rulings leading up to the election, there's a lot of different ways you can invalidate or otherwise allow voting to happen and create spoiled votes or invalid votes. Kelly's right. There's going to be a lot of decisions to be made by the party directly affected, so the RNC or the GOP in Michigan and nationally. But what it does is raises a lot of questions. What we'll really have to know is what is happening inside of that room, right? What is happening? What problems have been created from the lack of security? And again, at the very least, let's say Biden wins, it raises questions. Let's say Trump wins, it raises questions. All it does is delay. And again, in one of the most central precincts in a battleground state for this to be happening, and then for this afternoon for it to, you're really doubling down on the problems.
All right. I think that was a pretty good synopsis of what that was.
Yeah.
So we brought you up, we set you up and brought you right up to the point where she was, inside watching them bring in stuff, had concerns about the security. And then, she came back the next day, talked to some people. And that's when they started shutting out the people that were in the outer lobby looking through the glass at the counting that was happening. So
yeah, and she was shocked because they weren't supposed to be counting, and then they looked at it, and it went from all of a sudden Biden was up 30,000. He'd covered his gap, plus he was up 30,000. Then instantly he was up another 5,000, and she was like, "What the?"
Yeah, that was one thing that we didn't cover. She said around 10 a.m. in the morning, they announced that, and this was the election day, November 3rd, they announced that they were 16,000. Well, they had 16,000.
They only had
16,000 absentee ballots to count, mail-in ballots to count. Did she say it was 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.? Was it
10 a.m. I thought she said when they went home, when they left.
Yeah, so that would have been at night.
Her report to the RNC was, "We got this."
Yeah,
because in their mind, they only had 16,000 ballots that needed to be counted still.
Right, and so, but after at some point after the wagon was brought in, it jumped to 100 and something thousand.
Yes.
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how anybody, listen, I have friends on the left that are from Michigan that are in these major fights right now on Facebook who are arguing with other people that have posted this story like, this is just how Michigan is. Detroit is so liberal. You don't understand. That kind of a stuff. I hated that George Bush, his first term was decided by the Supreme Court. Like, I hated that everybody said, well, he wasn't legitimately elected. He was put in there by the Supreme Court. That's the whole thing. Do you really want shenanigans? Like, do you really want voter fraud to get your guy in?
We haven't had a legitimately elected Republican president in, I don't know, since Reagan.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why they hated Trump, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah. He and everything about him is illegitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why they kept saying, not my president. So, and they said it about Bush, not my president. So now, if Biden gets in, we get to say that now. Not my president.
Oh, that feeble old man is definitely not my president.
Yeah, well, he won't be our president. It'll be Kamala. But, so, that is true. But, okay, so during the night, there's this huge drop of ballots. So as of right now, I think you were just looking at the Secretary of State site. And 89 counties were in. Is that right?
It's 83
79.
total, 79 of 83. So there are 4 counties left to come in, according to the Secretary of State. But what you see on the media websites already includes a lot from those counties. So making on the media websites, what's making Trump's numbers drop is Wayne County, And that's not reported yet on the Secretary of State site. I was looking
so my theory is it's because they know it's a bullshit number. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
They don't have anything. The statewide total is 4.559 million so far. And
right now on 79 counties, Trump is ahead on their Secretary of State site. But that, of course, changes, once you get Wayne County in. But again, the ballots don't add up. It's crazy. Al's in the chat room now, and he's in Michigan. I don't know if, Al, you've heard anything different.
It's 780. It's 780,000 votes, though, that is coming in. Al, do you know how many registered voters are in Wayne County? I was trying to find that a minute ago.
Yeah, that would be good to know.
Yeah.
And again, it's shocking to me that states should always do their absentee ballots first, your mail-in ballots first, and then they're be like Florida, have those babies counted before anybody even walks in the door.
Yeah, that's the one thing that a lot of states do that I think is really stupid.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, they don't count before, and it wasn't as big a deal when you don't have hundreds of thousands coming in, but at the same time, they've always waited till last to count the military.
That's how you have fraud, because you finally know what number you need to make up the difference, right? And then boom, look at that, you just found all those ballots. Now, if all of those were already in beforehand and you'd already counted everything, then you're not going to have suddenly 40,000 ballots show up at your front door that suddenly a post office found.
Right.
And that would really raise eyebrows.
So it's 2.5,
less likely to happen.
Evidently 2.5 million voted in the primary.
In Wayne?
Oh, no, that was in all of Michigan. 2.5 voted in the Democratic primary, or in the primaries.
And how many voted this time?
I can't find that.
Well, they're probably still counting.
As of...
or they haven't posted it.
Prior to Election Day, it was 2.9 million.
Had already done what?
Had voted as of November 2nd. So that was early voting and absentee voting.
And what did you say? You said, so you said Biden in-person votes had how many?
That was Pennsylvania.
In-person votes?
That was Pennsylvania.
Oh, that was Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah. Okay, then we'll do that one next.
I haven't found a site.
Okay, so...
I haven't found a site for Michigan that's giving the in-person versus the mail-in. But in Pennsylvania, this is a really important point. Biden had of 1.3 million votes. Well, I've lost my tweet now. Hold on, I need to find the tweet because I don't...
Okay, well, while you're doing that quick, I'm going to read this. It says, this is what they're dropping in the chat room. So Detroit itself has over 30,000 more registered voters than citizens of legal voting age, and 1,126,883 registered voters in Wayne County. So it'll be interesting to see how many actual votes Wayne County gets when that's how many registered voters there are.
Wow. Okay, so, and again, they're on the media sites, those numbers are already showing up. So everything that they've counted, all the precincts that have reported, they're already on the media sites like ABC and Fox, but they're not on the Secretary of State. And Trump has a 700,000 vote lead. Plus 780 maybe. Okay, so here's the deal. 79,000 people out of about I think it was 1.4 million votes cast for Biden, voted for him any other way than mail-in. In other words, out of 1.4 million votes, he had 1.321 million votes come by mail. All but 70.
Yeah, that seems crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. The percentage is somewhere around 91. 91%. Yeah, somewhere around 91. I think 91% of his votes came through the mail and not in person. And those are actual mail votes. So I don't believe that counts. That includes early votes. I'm not sure how it would include early votes. So it's not people voting early. It's people voting by mail. It's insane.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Those numbers are crazy. Okay, so
79,000 in all of Philadelphia, in all of Pennsylvania. All of Pennsylvania, 79,000 people actually went somewhere.
Think about that. In-person voting on election day, and I don't know how many. I'm not sure in Pennsylvania how soon you could go and vote at in person leading up to the election, but still, that is a low number. So you are expected to believe that he made up that big of a difference that he's going to win when there's zero enthusiasm to go vote for him on election day.
I believe that Pennsylvania did have early voting. Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So, they're saying no early voting.
Oh, no?
Yeah, so I don't know. The point is...
It's mail. It's just mail.
Yeah, so the point is that could be, and I get that COVID was a big issue, but I just find that amazing. Do you know how many people voted for Trump in person in Pennsylvania?
Well, only 600, a little less than 600,000 people voted for him by mail.
Yeah, I think the difference between them going to bed last night was 690. That's what Trump said in his speech last night. And I haven't seen where it is right now, but it seems odd to me that everything seems to be going. I saw an NBC thing that said, it'd be very likely if, Biden gets 100% of these or 90% of these. It's like, when in the history of mail-in ballots has it only ever gone one way?
Yeah, okay, so here's something really interesting. The Pennsylvania mail-in ballot statistics. Trump got 586,000, but on the Pennsylvania website, he only got 369,000 mail-in votes.
Okay.
That's interesting. I don't know if they got counted twice or... I have no idea what that's about.
Yeah, I don't either.
No idea.
I don't either. So what is the count right now in Pennsylvania? What is the spread? They said they've won that. I don't know that they should have done that, but I think they were trying to get out there before Biden did and said, no, that one's ours.
Yeah, I don't think they had much choice, actually. It's still 51 to 47. So, but it doesn't look like... Oh, they found another 100,000 mail-in votes for Donald Trump.
Oh, for Donald Trump?
Uh-huh. Yeah. But now Biden has 1.5 million mail-in votes. And okay.
I don't know. I find that really hard to believe that he got all 1.5 million of those mail-in ballots. And I would love to know because a lot of those were oil and gas guys.
Yeah.
And that was red counties that were still out.
Right. Yeah, I think maybe Philadelphia is not completely counted, but for the most part, it's a lot of red counties.
Yeah, so does it give you a tally of who's ahead?
Who's ahead where? In each county?
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's 51% Trump, 47.
Okay, so Biden. Trump is still ahead.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens. But you do know that the Trump campaign, if one of the things in Pennsylvania, for those of you guys that don't know it, is that they're allowing people to have ballots that come in, and the postmark doesn't have to be that clear. So it can be, I don't know, I think that leads to sketchy whether or not it was actually mailed or dropped off.
That's the difference between what the legislature said has to happen with ballots and what a judge said can happen with ballots. So they can count them. They have 3 extra days, I think, to count them. And they can, if the voter gets the benefit of the doubt if they can't determine what the postmark is. But, Pennsylvania is one of those places where you can't go back and check that because a ballot is forever separated from the envelope once it's opened and processed. Right. So there's no way to audit that unless it's done at the time that it's opened. Received. Right.
And didn't the Supreme Court, though, say that those ballots had to be set aside? So anything that's come in now is set aside?
Yes.
Okay, so, and if they're doing that, I mean, they're supposed to be doing that. We hope they're doing that, but that's the whole thing, If it was Biden, if the roles were reversed and Biden was the current president, and it because of, it being a Democratic governor, I think that you would see a lot more scrutiny on that kind of stuff. Because they would want to with their own person, I guess I should say, versus Yeah. Well, we didn't get to it's already, I can't believe it's already 8 o'clock. We did not get to Georgia, but right now, Trump is up, and it said the GOP party in Georgia is suing. Is that right? Because they're being blocked?
Yeah, so they did the same thing in Georgia that they did in Michigan, where they said, "Oh, we're going home," but then they kept the counting in secret.
Yes,
without any poll watchers there. They're impeding the poll watchers, the Republican poll watchers. They are not letting them in the facility. They're taking the stance that they have no right to watch absentee ballots be counted, and that's not the case. So.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll get settled soon. So in the long run, I think, here's my call, I think Trump will get North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. Maybe we'll see what happens with Nevada. What do you think, Lou?
I think that's probably about right.
Yeah, and I don't know. Honestly, I think he could actually, based on those numbers we went through, he maybe has Wisconsin, but I don't know that they'll even contest it if they get these states. I think they'll just leave it. But we'll see with the recount. We'll see what it says.
I think that it is our fate to go through another 4 years with a president that is, had to fight this kind of battle.
Yes.
Yeah. And a contested president, another illegitimate Republican president.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just, oh God, I'm so tired of all of it. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully by next week, we'll have some inkling if we have a president for 2021. And we just hope you guys have a great week.
Yep. Thanks, you guys.
Timberlake.